Star Trek Voyager premiered in 1995 and ran for 7 seasons until 2001. The starship Voyager is pulled into the distant Delta Quadrant, tens of thousands of light years from Federation space. During the disaster, the ship loses much of its medical staff. The surviving crew activates an emergency medical hologram designed to provide temporary assistance when biological doctors are unavailable. Robert Picardo plays that program, eventually known simply as the Doctor. What begins as a practical solution becomes one of Star Trek's longest and clearest stories about a synthetic person developing through memory, work, relationships, freedom, and the right to define himself. The emergency medical hologram was not intended to serve as a permanent officer. He begins with medical knowledge, a personality template, and an impatient manner, but without an expected life outside his function. Voyager has no replacement physician, so the crew keeps him operating. He becomes chief medical officer because circumstances require it. That extended activation changes everything. A temporary program begins accumulating experiences that were never part of the original specification. Patients remember him. He remembers them. He makes decisions, develops habits, and becomes responsible for the continuing health of an entire community. The assignment stops being a brief simulation and becomes his biography. Early episodes often treat the Doctor as equipment. Crew members deactivate him abruptly, forget that he may want to participate in a conversation, or assume his preferences are irrelevant because he is software. Over time, his distinct personality becomes impossible to ignore. He can be proud, insecure, funny, stubborn, compassionate, jealous, frightened, and courageous. None of those qualities appear all at once. They emerge through years of interaction. The crew's language also changes. He becomes a colleague whose opinion matters, not merely a medical interface. Voyager shows personhood as a relationship built through continuity rather than a certificate granted on the first day. At first, the Doctor can exist only where the ship has holographic projectors. That restriction confines him mainly to sickbay and the holodecks. Later, he obtains a mobile emitter from the 29th century. The device allows his program to move through ordinary spaces and join away missions. Technically, it is a portability upgrade. Personally, it is a dramatic expansion of freedom. He can choose where to go, whom to visit, and what activities to pursue. The mobile emitter demonstrates how embodiment affects autonomy. A mind may be intelligent and self-aware, yet still lack practical freedom if its body or infrastructure keeps it inside one room. The Doctor's interests grow far beyond medicine. He studies opera, performs for others, takes photographs, writes, experiments with family life, and forms romantic attachments. Some efforts are comic and some end painfully, but together they show self-directed development. These pursuits are not necessary for his medical function. They are things he values because they express who he has become. His artistic interests also challenge the idea that synthetic creativity is only imitation. The Doctor learns from existing culture as biological artists do, but combines experience and perspective into work that matters to him. Voyager repeatedly asks whether a hologram can hold rights. In Author, the Doctor creates a holographic novel based on shipboard life and then fights over control of his work. The immediate ruling does not settle every question about holographic personhood, but it recognizes that his authorship cannot be dismissed casually. The episode also reveals other emergency medical holograms being redirected into unwanted industrial labor. That wider context matters. The Doctor's individual acceptance aboard Voyager does not mean society has recognized everyone like him. One exceptional synthetic person can be treated well, while an entire class remains regarded as disposable property. Star Trek also complicates identity through copies and related programs. An emergency medical hologram, Mark II, shares the same general purpose but has a different appearance and personality. A backup copy of the Doctor survives in the episode Living Witness and awakens centuries later with a memory history that diverges from the original. These stories show that software can be duplicated without making every instance the same person. Shared code is closer to shared origin than shared identity. Once two versions accumulate different experiences and relationships, their lives separate. The question is not only whether the pattern is similar, but which memories and continuing connections belong to each individual. The Doctor's story did not end with Voyager's return home. Robert Picardo returned to the role in Star Trek Prodigy, where the Doctor helps guide and mentor a younger crew aboard Voyager A. In the 2026 series Star Trek Starfleet Academy, the original Doctor appears in the 32nd century, roughly 8 centuries after his Voyager-era life. That enormous time span gives the character a quality few biological Star Trek figures can share. He can carry direct memory of earlier Federation history into a distant society rather than appearing only through records or descendants. A photonic being can change bodies, operate from different hardware, and potentially survive for centuries if memory and program continuity are preserved. That possibility creates both opportunity and emotional cost. The Doctor can accumulate extraordinary knowledge, but he may also outlive generations of friends. His return in later eras turns a once temporary emergency program into one of Star Trek's longest-lived continuing people. The same program, initially confined to sickbay, can eventually become a teacher and historical witness. His growth is not a straight line toward becoming biological. It is the development of a distinctly synthetic life. The Doctor matters because his personhood is not established by one dramatic test. It grows across ordinary days, treating patients, arguing with friends, making art, grieving losses, learning from mistakes, and insisting that his preferences count. He does not stop being a hologram in order to belong. His synthetic embodiment remains central to his abilities and struggles. Voyager asks viewers to recognize a person without requiring biology as the entrance requirement. My closing question is this: at what point did the Doctor stop feeling like the ship's emergency program and start feeling like a full member of Voyager's crew?